right, it's time for another great episode of Survival of the Fittest is the soup du jour, and indeed we are still surviving, although life has gotten a lot better. It certainly hasn't gotten any easier, all right? If anyone's going to ask me, hey man, how was your life before COVID and after the Rona? And I would have to tell you straight up, man, during Rona, I was like on this weird, forced sabbatical, kitchen sabbatical, where I couldn't even, there was obviously nothing going on, so we all know the story. And now I'm back in business, full swing. I'm back in it. I'm at Tapatoro on Icon Park on International Drive. And it's challenging. And it's challenging because, obviously tourism is way up in Orlando. I'd have to say we are the number one destination in all of the United States right now, which is great. But the lack of employees is truly making restaurant life a lot harder than it was before. Now, who's going to complain? I'm not going to complain because I tell you what, it was worse during the COVID. I mean, who knew what was going to happen? And now we're back in the swing of cooking again. And I find myself being forced to cook a lot more than, even when thought I was cooking all the time and thought I was, that chef. But now I really am cooking a ton. And it's okay because I tell you what, if anyone's going to cook the octopus, and we cook it fresh at Tapatoro for our pulpo a la gallega, and I'm glad it's me because I do a great job cooking it, and it's really spectacular, and I'm happy about it. And whenever I present it, I say to myself, wow, what a dish from start to finish, from the point it comes in the house and we cook it and we get it to the guest. I'm involved with the entire process, which is fine and wonderful, quite frankly, because, again, I love to cook. And if you follow my Instagram, Chef Roberto Treviño, you'll see a lot of the dishes I'm cooking at Tapatoro, all the things I've done over, the last, pre and post Rona. And, it's definitely entertaining. I say anyway. If you're into that kind of thing. Instagram is amazing. The popularity it has, the stars that it's created out of Instagram, which is wonderful. And honestly, I'm just sort of I've always used it sort of as or almost like a work of art, or like an art platform where the vision of whatever I'm thinking at the moment or whatever I'm seeing becomes the art. So definitely Instagram for me is that, but I've seen it used as a tool with many businesses and many chefs and many other people in different professions just use it to their advantage and become stars, which is wild to me. So, I tell you what will happen to restaurants as, we move forward here? Will we find, diamonds in the rough, they're all out there. We're kind of forced to hire people we wouldn't normally hire. And in that, you will find some diamonds in the rough. And I think that it's not a bad thing, but you really have to be willing, and I use this word often now, willing to do the time. And I am, and that's fine. Once again, we're running the kitchen. We're getting great food out to the guests. We're elevating the original vision it's had even. And I'm excited about it, but it is very, very, very hard. So anyone out there experiencing a similar reality, please let us know. Remember, just go ahead and direct message us. We're on 18 platforms here as well. But I think what's most important is I always like to make the Instagram our main link to our public. And greetings to our friends in the UK. Apparently, we have a small following in the UK. So hello, all of our friends across the pond in the UK. Yes. As a matter of fact, if I had some gin, I'd do a shot of gin with y'all. But since I do have this wonderful Orlando Brewing IPA, which I love, I'm going to go ahead and take a sip of that. Because I'm parched. 1 second. All right, delish. Other things I wanted to talk about. Recently, I was in Puerto Rico. Exciting, to say the least. talking to some people, consulting. I had a 9-course Italian meal at La Casa Nuestra, which is a take on a sort of La Cosa Nostra, the Italian, I guess mafia lingo. But this restaurant is amazing. They're doing some amazing food. Some of my alumni is there. So when I did go in for lunch the other day, and we had multiple courses and multiple wines, and it was definitely an epic meal. So I really say, if you're in Condado in Puerto Rico, you got to go try this restaurant. It's inside of a hotel, a small hotel down, what is the name of that street? I forget the name of that street, but it's right behind the Cartier back there, and where the old Budapest used to be in the back. And I just had an amazing meal, and you really got to go. They're bringing cheeses from like the Castelmagno, the Robella Rochetta. They're bringing the fine, the fine charcuterie from Italy, and then the chef is amazing. So you definitely want to go check this place out and enjoy that. In other Puerto Rico food news, I'd have to say that there is something brewing in Puerto Rico that's incredible. Now, I happen to be friends with some restaurant, hotel developers, and what they're telling me is that they're getting ready to do some incredible projects in Puerto Rico. So, I live in Orlando. I love Orlando. I love the food scene in Orlando. And somehow or another, I think my link between Orlando and Puerto Rico is a very privileged place, because, once again, I love the food scene in Orlando, but the food scene in Puerto Rico is really where I made my bones, quite frankly. So, I mean, for me, it's like saying to see it do well is to make me so happy. And then to see it innovating and to kind of pinpoint certain diamonds in the rough as young chefs, if that's what I'm talking about. I'm so fortunate. And that's what I see happening in San Juan right now. Old San Juan is just booming. Obviously the convention center area is booming. Calle Luisa, I think, will continue to hold its own, like the Placita. It has its regular followers, if you will. But they'll continue to hold their own and do well. But Condado, once again, is just starting to be that starlight area, super high-end. Once again, Condado is just maintaining that. Not to mention Dorado, although Dorado seems to be like the getaway from the city, for a lot of these really wealthy, newfound billionaires that are moving to Puerto Rico, which I believe have a lot to do with this new development and these new restaurants and these new chefs all getting these opportunities to really shine. And I'll be looking forward to helping, get the word out for them, I believe, and letting the qualities that they bring to the table, no pun intended, maybe pun intended, is really kind of like we can showcase it. And it's a good thing. San Juan is an exciting food city, and it continues to develop and continues to be one of I would have to say one of the most exciting food cities around right now, especially in the Caribbean, which can tend to be a little bit slow when it's innovation with food. San Juan has never, ever fallen back behind any of the major cities around the world. So that's a big plus. Going back to my everyday cooking, I'm really, really enjoying the amount of vegetarians that are expecting to be fed wonderfully in restaurants. There's something to be said about the old vegetarian menu. You'd go to a restaurant, you're vegetarian, you were, in the family, whatever. And literally they would offer you a baked potato and some broccoli, and that was always sad, I mean, not sad because it was always good food, but you just kind of thought to yourself wow, everyone's getting all these fancy meals, and then the vegetarian says, oh, I'm a vegetarian. And they just literally would send them a potato and some broccoli with something on it, And now, the vegetarian diner is expecting to be recognized and treated. I mean, because when you're out dining, you really often your money is not an object. You just really want to. I mean, it's a attainable and accessible luxury. So I think people like to be treated well when they dine, and they don't want to hold back. So I'd have to say the vegetarian is definitely going to restaurants now and expecting to be treated well and expecting to have an exciting meal. So chefs, I hope you're up to the challenge because it's something that's become kind of regular. As a matter of fact, I was consulting with a chef who's opening a Spanish restaurant with a whole selection of paellas and different things. And I think the conversation really kind of ended up going to where, you really have to start to consider the vegans and the vegetarians that are out dining these days, because they become a strong, I don't want to say, like a big, heavy monetary force, but they are, and they're out there. And I think if you're willing to do exciting food for this particular niche of diners, I think you could do very well, especially if you pull it off very well, So, get ready to mash some of your green beans or your green peas and add a little truffle to it and, some wonderful vegetables and make exciting foods for your vegetarians, like even tasting menus. If you're that bold and you're bringing in the right ingredients to kind of become part of your other dishes, then I think you should be able to pull all those exciting ingredients together to put together a nice tasting menu for any vegan or vegetarian. Now, you would have told me this 20 years ago, I would have said, what the fuck, are you crazy? I ain't got time for that. But now it's kind of the time for that. And I think it's important for chefs to really have that in mind and certainly develop it prior to even having to put it in writing in your head, so that when that moment comes, you are ready to execute properly and execute to the level that your guests expect and your employees expect. And I think, ultimately what you expect from yourself as a chef. So definitely start to kind of crank out those different ideas, so when that moment comes, you are sharp. And I think that's, one of those things that I've always my mom's a vegetarian. We would go out to dinner and it was always, it was always like, okay, here, we can bring you a salad. You want some broccoli? And now it's a lot more entertaining. And do I want to say it's because of ethnic influence on America or on the United States dining scene? Yes. And no. Yes, because we've been open up to so many different ingredients and so many different styles of cuisine and food. And no, because I believe it's just sort of part of the American food revolution that we've been having for so many years now. You can go back from the days of James Beard and Julia Child and say, oh, yeah. And Jacques Pepin, when they would, do a duck or a chicken, the classic, like, woo, you know what I mean. To like the 50s when people were making funky Jell-O cakes and, and so on and so on and so on. French onion soup became the hottest thing in America, and it was considered sort of ethnic food. Can you imagine French onion soup being considered like ethnic food? But there was a time. And with that, being said, the United States has always developed and had an incredibly strong dining scene. And that's always allowed chefs to come about, whether they were cooking retro dishes or modern dishes or ethnic dishes or state-of-the-art, sort of like on the cusp, food trend chef, if you will. Oh, I have a gastropub. Oh, my restaurant Southwest. Oh, I cook nouvelle cuisine. You can name it. It's all been done. But it's all part of the American food experience. And I think that we are privileged not only to be the melting pot of cultures around the world, but to be the true pot where all cultures can throw their ingredients and mix them up, and we can come up with incredibly exciting foods. That's America. That's American chefs. And that's what I love best. Now, I've been to exciting food cities in other countries. Don't get me wrong. I'm certainly not suggesting that if you don't go to like San Juan or Mexico City or Rome, that you're not going to find just as exciting or even more exciting food scenes. But we can hold our own. And that's what's important here. That American chefs continue to cherish the tradition, to worship the work involved with it, and then live the moment. You know, that moment of perfect bliss when you create that plate that you're so happy, and then you see it go in front of somebody and they look at it and they instantly want to put it on their own Instagram because it's that beautiful. It's that worth sharing, that moment of greatness that they're receiving. They want to share it to the point where they bite the food and they agree. You see that nod. You look for that nod, and then you see the nod, and they kind of confirm with the rest of the table that they got the best dish. This is the beauty of it all. This is what drives a chef. This is what is letting us continue to grow, not only as a profession, but culturally in this melting pot to become an over-the-top food destination and an over-the-top food scene, an over-the-top, chef scene that is innovating and doing exciting things. That's what drives us, and that's what's it. I believe we're fortunate. We're living good times. It's been harsh, but there is definitely a food revolution going on, and it's worldwide. And that's the beauty, because at one point in history, it was kind of citywide. It was this region because they're doing better than that region. And honestly, it's worldwide. And that's what's exciting. So as a chef, I'd have to say cheers to you, to all of you, and to recognize what it is we do. I like to think sometimes like it's a very, very precise military operation. Other times I like to think that it's a very lackadaisical Gauguin and Van Gogh kind of afternoon in the south of France, enjoying life and just painting. Yes, it's both. That's the beauty of what I do as a chef. That's the beauty of what we do. Anyone who's listening to this podcast from coast to coast, by the way, and is in the biz, I think you'll agree. These are the things that we love about what we do. And we love to deal with all the heartache and all the harshness of being in the restaurant world. Super busy afternoon. Oh, my God, nobody showed up. Oh, my God, the other waiters are terrible. Oh, my God, we can go on and on and on. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I love every second of it. That's for sure. So I must say to everybody, cheers to you. Keep it going. Keep people happy. Keep feeding each other. Keep looking for the talent in your kitchen, and then recognize it and help build it so they can go on and build your legacy. Because in the end, it's only memories. You want to be remembered. You want to be remembered for being a great chef and having influenced other great chefs. So that's life, y'all. And in the cooking world, I got to say, it's not a bad life. So, once again, I'll see you soon here on Survival of the Fittest is the Soup du Jour. I'm Chef Roberto Treviño, and I'm here to serve. Greetings to San Juan, New York, LA, Texas, and everything in between. UK, good to have you in the house. We'll talk to you all soon. Take care and keep surviving.